This will probably be a two-part video on how I drape my wagons with canvases. You can also use it, say, to drape barrels, print a load of barrels off, and you can put a canvas over it. I'm definitely not a blender expert, but I'll show you what I've learned on stuff that I do on my layout. So you'll get this splash screen here, and we'll go to General, and you've got these objects here. Press A to select them all, and you press delete, and that gets rid of them. We don't need them. So now we want to get our object in to drape. So we go File, Import, STL, and we'll find our object. I'll come up with an error. File, Import, STL, and there we go, we've got our object. Now it's there because on the right hand side at the top it says there, but it's somewhere on the scene. I don't know why. Don't put it in the middle. So you want to go to the middle, right click, set origin, geometry to origin, and if you back off, reverse out, there we go. That's our object we want to drape. Now if you press N, you'll see the object size in that, and it is massive. I don't know why, but I leave it at this size because when you convert it back, it will go back to the original STL size. So if you start messing with dimensions now, you have to mess with dimensions when you export it back. So anyway, if you press N, it removes that screen now. So that's our object, and we want to add a tarpaulin now. So what we do is we go to the top left, add mesh plane, and then you'll go to the left and put move. Now it is in there, and you'll get these arrows. So if we press the blue, which is the Z, and we'll bring it up, and that's our plane. It's small because our object's so big. So we go on to the left here, scale tool, and then we can pick this, and then we'll start scaling it. There we go. So we've got to look, we've got to find or get our proportions so we can do a tarpaulin. A little bit bigger, wideways. Oh, that's about right. So now we've got a wagon and tarpaulin, and what we need to do is collide that meshed at the top, which is our tarpaulin, with our wagon. First off, we have to select the mesh, our tarpaulin. Top left, object mode, change it to edit mode. Now we have to change the vertex on this. I think it's called vertex, and we have to subdivide that so it makes all little vertexes so it'll crease where we want it. So we go subdivide, which is a right click, subdivide, and then down the bottom there you'll see a subdivide little box. Click on that. Number of cuts, you want to change that to 200. Now you can play with this if your computer's a bit slow, then you want to do less cuts. If it's super fast, you can do more cuts, and it'll be more accurate. So we press enter. So now instead of just one cut on there, we've got 200. We're good there. So back to the top left, go to object mode. That's it. So we've got our tarpaulin all cut up, and then we've got our object, an object we want to drape over. So we go to our object we want to drape. On the right hand side, you've got to go to physics properties, and you'll get this sub menu up here, and you go to rigid body, and here rigid body it says type active. Click on that and go to passive, and that means this will collide with this and this won't move, so that's the passive object. And then also you want to click on collision. There's lots of different sub menus on that, we don't worry about it. So now this will collide with this, and the base won't move. So now we go to the tarpaulin, and we've got to do the same thing again. We don't do rigid body this time because it will collide, but we press collision and we press cloth. Lots of sub menus, you will have to play with them. You can do the weight of the tarpaulin, how it bounces, lots of different. A bending model, sometimes it works better linear, so we'll try that. So now we're set up, come down to the bottom middle, and then we can play animation. And in theory, it should come down and start draping over our wagon. Now if you pause and then you can look round, and if you come to this bottom right where it's got the 97 there, you can play it, slow it down a bit until you think it looks okay. That's about it. So now if you pressed the back to endpoint, and then you can press play and it will go through it and it will stop where you left off. I actually didn't because I didn't set it there, but you get the idea. Now we can improve on this. If you go to the spanner menu there, and it's got a collision modifier is already there, and a cloth modifier is already there because we set that in the physics. If we add a modifier, and if we come down to the deform, it's got shrink wrap. Click on that, and then we shall have a go with shrink wrap, which should in theory turn the corners in a bit better. There we go, set it off again. Let it run. We pause it. Now you can see it's starting to tuck the corners in a little bit better than what it was. So when you're happy, I'll move it on a few frames. There we go. So it's tucked it in and we've collided. Now I'll pause here and I'll do a second part.